Alright, here it is. 2024's best anime, in my opinion. Chill off me. I'm usually averse to this new trend of gimmick anime. You know the type, where the entire series is built off this one unique, nuanced topic or idea that, more often than not, is executed terribly. Bartender, Glass of God is not like that. Instead of trying to rope the viewer into this niche with the concept alone, the anime actually explores the topic very well. The history of certain drinks, the specific procedure to make them, and the effect they have on the consumer is depicted with a shocking amount of detail. But the series wouldn't be a story if it was just one big info dump. The writing is fantastic. Our protagonist Sasakura has some mystery to him, and yet through every step of the story is shown to love bartending, and it becomes much easier to care about the show when I realize that. The side cast also works very well. We have a salaryman who just can't seem to catch a break, a best-selling author who's burnt the fuck out, and a bunch of other bartenders with their own unique stories. Some of these characters you're gonna love. Thematically speaking, the complexity of being a bartender and choosing that profession is at the heart of the series, and it's a really fascinating theme explored very well. Look, say what you want to say, and those criticisms are probably valid, but I am still in love with this season. Norn has an incredibly underrated character arc. I love the parallels to Rudy's past. I think Danahoshi's ordeal is compelling as fuck, and a certain character's demise is adapted to perfection. I have my qualms about the season and the series as a whole, but I cannot deny its good qualities. This is a very good season of anime. I love Beastars. It's one of those shows that look very, very strange, on top of being a mix of 2D and 3D, which never sits right with me, but this series really surprised me. The first two seasons aren't perfect by any means. I have my qualms about the pacing and story development, but the premise was so interesting. Beastars is really about the very human concept of discrimination, of love and hate, through the lens of this Zootopia-esque animal society, where herbivores and carnivores quote-unquote coexist. In the very first episode, an alpaca is brutally devoured by her carnivore classmate. Legoshi is this primal wolf who is nothing like his archetype. He's gentle, kind, a gloomy but optimistic teen just trying to do his best to do right, even if underneath the surface, he's a vicious monster hungry for meat. This constant struggle is the very essence of this show, and it's truly fucking compelling. The show does this whole discrimination commentary so inexplicably well, because the characters feel so human in a way that shouldn't be possible, but it just is. And this final season is shaping up to be something special. Most of my issues are gone, and replacing it is just a fully realized story with great character arcs and a fascinating analysis on interspecies relationships. They're our main pair as well as our new villain. The mystery of the story is great, the soundtrack is still just as jazzy and thrilling as it was before, and the characters are still holding strong. I cannot wait for the second quarter. One of the most interesting takes on the rom-com genre I have ever seen. Think Maki Shijo from Love is War, except that's every character. The cast is made up of exactly that. Losing heroines, these side characters who get rejected by their crushes and are forced to confront the reality of that. It's a really compelling premise, executed extremely well through subversion. The main character, Nukamizu, is unlike most in that he's incredibly ordinary. Well, if being obsessed with romance light novels is normal. He's a very chill dude, but not in a way that feels inorganic. See, the first girl we meet, an airhead named Yanami, sort of befriends him, sort of ropes him in her drama, and tries to basically rant and dump all of this emotional baggage on him. And you know what he does? He tries to change the subject. He tries to weasel his way out of there. It's not that he's a bad guy per se, but I think anyone would do the same there. Because you owe nothing to this person. You don't even know them. But as the story goes on, and as he spends more time with these sideline girls, you get the sense that he starts to care. It's a really organic progression because we as the audience grows to care for these characters alongside him. And while not all of their stories always click with me, there are incredible character moments here, which sometimes gets used for its humor. This anime is hilarious. The reoccurring bits are funny as hell. I think the dialogue and character mannerisms are fucking comedic gold. It also looks super good, like really good. A1 Pictures cooked up here. At times the show can look super cinematic. It doesn't have the same boring problems I have with light novel adaptations, that being this dry ass back and forth conversation between two characters. These characters express themselves using gestures. The cadence and tempo of the dialogue is in flux, and sometimes they respond non-verbally. The colors look so good too. The classrooms are very shadow heavy versus that typical bright look that feels washed out. The shadow from the trees that block light from the windows gives the classroom setting a really unique look I love. There's not really a villain here. The cast are just down on their fucking luck, to be honest, and the ones who stole their love interests are honestly great, likable people. The story is funny, it's entertaining, and it can also be heartbreaking. Yet every time, these characters showcase their ability to bounce back, not unscathed, not even in a great place I'd say, but still, they at least try to move on, and I think that's powerful. Now, I didn't actually watch this when they first came out. It was just on my watch list. I never got around to it until I saw the names attached to the project. We got the author of Danmachi pulling up with a director who worked on, get this, Frieren, Brotherhood, the JJK movie, fucking Chainsaw Man, the list goes on and on. This animation is so consistently clean. In fact, the entire time I watched the pilot and the next episode and the next after the next one, I kept noting how fucking good it all looked. The flashbacks feel vintage, cinematic, and even like a home video at times. The comedy here works wonders because of the creative liberties they take in depicting shots. Some of these caught me very off guard, and I think the humor is well done and not too over the top. The fights look amazing. We got a dynamic camera, a phenomenal sense of movement and impact, and a world that allows flashy shit like this to exist. The series has some wonderful world building. The tippity top of mages in this world are called the Magia Vander, the elite to the elite. Because they're so sought after and revered, our main character Will is persecuted for trying to reach that dream, despite being utterly incapable of magic. Like, the motherfucker is useless in that department. Still, he wants to reach that peak in order to reunite with his beloved childhood friend Elfie, who's the very definition of a super genius, an Einstein in this world. It's a near impossible task, even if he did have magic, but what he does have are his 2 fucking testicles, cause holy shit, the motherfucker got balls. I like Will a lot. When the bullshit comes around bullshitting, he does not hesitate to stand the fuck up and deliver. Will's whole shtick is mash for Mashal. He's super physically strong, a monster in hand-to-hand physical combat, and like Mashal, none of this matters in the eyes of his associates, because magic is king in this world. The very idea of a man like Will, a sword, could ever trump a wand, is considered damn near blasphemous here, and yet the motherfucker just does. Like, Will is fucking him sometimes, except when he's not. Will is not God-kun in this series. He is a fallible human who struggles a lot in fights, alongside the sidecast, which makes these fights actually intense. Now look, if you're looking for an anime that revolutionized how we look at storytelling or whatever, you're not gonna find it here. Wistoria definitely has its fair share of tropes. However, I still found myself falling for the writing here. It's honest, it's upfront, it doesn't shy away from its predictability and embraces it. Sometimes I think we need to see a cliche series every once in a while, to be reminded why they're cliches in the first place, because it works. Enough has been said with this anime. It's some of the most gripping material to come out this year in a variety of ways. The fight scenes live by the code of animation. It's flashy, it's expressive, it's Science Saru in their prime. The world is nuts, with gargantuan aliens, gargantuan spirits, and also a lot of freaks in the mix. The characters are so much fun and so fleshed out. Gigi's impossible to dislike, Ken's a little sweetheart, Momo is dumb charismatic, and Ira, oh Ira. The story can also be incredibly emotional. I read this manga like 3-4 times and I was still not ready for episode 7. It's storytelling at its peak, and I think that's the moment Dandadan became one of the best anime of the year for me.